Hello, Flosstube. My name is Mary, and I am a Mary Stitcher here on YouTube and also on Instagram. I want to thank you for stopping by today. If you're one of my returning subscribers or viewers, thank you very much for coming back. And to my new subscribers, I'm very, very thankful that you're here, and I hope you enjoy what you see. It's always good to see new Stitchers joining the channel. I want to first of all say that since my last Flosstube, I was lucky enough to participate in the Nash Stash Startathon that was put on by Stephanie Webb and her team, and it is a team from Lindy Stitches. It was a lot of fun. We all got to compare notes on things we had gotten at Nashville and start a few new stitches, so that was great. A good time was had by all. I also want to say a big thank you to the Steel City Stitchers, Kristen and Aaron and Jody. You guys were great. The Steel City retreat was wonderful. Went to that this past, it's been a week now, and had a really good time. Had a wonderful table full of fun stitchers, and there were a lot of really nice folks there. As always, this is my fourth time going to that particular retreat. It's just right down in Pittsburgh, so it's easy for me to get to, and it's a lot of fun. So thank you very much for everybody, and hi to all the people that I met there. Also, I want to send a big, big thank you to Sarah of Sarah's Stitchy Spot. She is always such an encouraging person, and showed a few of my stitches on her channel last time I should say, and I really, really appreciate the shout out. Thank you very much, Sarah. I love watching you, and thank you for watching my channel as well. Appreciate that very much. Let's see, what is new with regard to stitching? Okay, now I have no fully finished items, no FFOs, but that's not unusual for me. Finishing is not my strong suit, so sometimes I finish a flurry of little things and then it'll be a while in between, so that's okay. As far as stitch finishes go, I have two things that were starts and finishes since my last video. The first, which I started at the Nash Stash Stitchathon, was, Lily. She's one of the animal crackers from Stacy Nash. These are all so much fun, but Lily was a big hit. She was a new Nashville release this time. And so I started her at the Nash Stash and then finished her about 4 or 5 days later. Or no, I finished her at the Steel City Retreat a week later. Sorry. Anyway, here is my finish. And I did this mostly in the called for colors, except her body and legs was supposed to be Garrison Green. I felt like it had to be Lily Pad from Weeks, which was a great color, and I think I'm not by any means the only person who's done that. Also, I didn't have one of the pink colors Sanguine, so I used Weeks Pink Sand instead. And for her throat, instead of the called for, which I did not have, I used Weeks Cattail. So all still pretty much Weeks, just a few substitutions where I didn't have in my collection the colors that were called for. But I really like her. She was just a lot of fun to stitch. Totally as cute as can be. So that was my first finish, which was also a start. Then the other stitch finish that I had was also a start and finish, because right before the Steel City Retreat, I realized I had not stitched my retreat piece, which, most of the time I do stitch them. So this time it was a stitch from Kathy at Hands On Design. Now this is one of the ways she charted it, which was cross stitch, I'm a big deal. But because it is the Steel City Retreat, she had done another variation for us, which was cross stitch, I'm a big dill. So I'm kind of a big dill. So this is my start and finish. mostly in the called for colors, few little tweaks, again, where I didn't have in my collection the exact called for DMC. But Kathy's stitches are always super fun to do, lots of good color, and this was a quick little stitch. Now, I did not stitch mine on the 32 count that's called for because I very seldom use 32 count. So what I did is I used a 20 count Aida to finish it small. And I'll probably turn it into a little ornament or, some little stuffy. So that is my second finish. Now I did have a start at the Steel City Retreat, which I have not finished, just barely a start. And that is Harvest Star Tea. This is a chart from So Much to Love. Their website's here. Get that a little closer so you can see it. Now the artwork on this is wonderful because this is charted from art by Michelle Palmer, who is a wonderful artist and does a lot of beautiful stuff. I'd love to see more things charted, but these little birds and teacups are so sweet that I actually ordered 2 more after I got this one. Now, I am stitching this on, here we go, let's see, get my stuff out of the way, there we go. It's a very tiny little start. I just started the bottom of the cup at the retreat, and then when I came back home I had some other things I wanted to work on. But the fabric on this one is 36 count Sleeping Bear. I'm going to try and, there we go, that's a little better representation of the color. This one is from Needle and Flax. Rachel's fabric is always such a dream to stitch on, and Sleeping Bear is just a really good versatile color. Not too light, not too dark, but I think that the light colors are going to show up just fine. So I'm happy as can be with this. So that one I look forward to stitching. Okay, now it's time for whips. Works in progress for those of you who get lost in some of our little catchphrases. My oldest whip, and one that I'm trying to do a strand every day or 2, and sometimes I really am great about doing that, and sometimes I'm not. Part of it is because I'm stitching this on 46 count, so I have to be alert and able to see what I'm doing. But this is the chart. It is M.H. Smith 1890. It's from Dutch Treat Designs. It's a Bristol sampler. And I've kind of hit a milestone because I've gotten through my alphabets and my numbers. I have to say that there are some that are a little repetitive, so I'm about 2 lines shorter in terms of the total depth for the alphabets and the numbers. But the exciting part is now I'm ready to start with these lower things. Now, I'm going to mess around with this chart, and I know that purists won't love that, but I have to stitch for me and for what I want in my house. So what I'm going to do is end up putting the squirrel here, the flowers here, and then I will choose my favorite of the banding and I will put that in between the squirrel and the flowers. Then I'm going to pick up some of this and move it on up. So, and that's, since I also am an M.H. Smith, I'm going to put the girl's name on, and then I'm going to put my M.H. Smith Peterson on there. So that should be kind of a fun thing to do. But I'm excited just to be through the alphabets and ready to move on to some of the other fun stuff. Now, where I am, last time I had not yet done any of the numbers, and I had an alphabet and a half to go. But here I am. So you can see that I've got the alphabets done. I have started that little border that's going to go between the alphabets and the squirrel and the flowers and such. And I'll figure out some little motifs to put in that kind of blank space out on the end, but I'm going to make that determination after I've done pretty much the rest of it. So I'll find something to put in there so that it doesn't look awkwardly blank. that is where I am. And I'm stitching this on Zweigart 46 count antique white. The floss is, oh my gosh, good grief. It's DMC 498. That's what it is. So good old DMC, very reliable. My next whip and one of my Whip Go pulls for this month. Whip Go is the brainchild of Jessie Marie of Jessie Marie Does Stuff here on Flosstube and also on Instagram. I think she's just Jessie Does Stuff. I think that's how it is. Anyway, this Whip Go pull is for Huckleberry Farm. Ooh, glary, sorry. Huckleberry Farm from Janine of the Blue Flower. This is a terrific stitch, has all kinds of really wonderful things on it. I'm messing around with the placement as I frequently do, but it'll all take shape. It'll make sense once you see it. But anyway, for now, I had started the bear. Well, I had the bear done, but I'd started this area here, and then I had moved the butterfly up a bit. However, I had made a grave counting error and just had messed up the butterfly completely. So what I did is frogged it out and redid it. So I haven't made a tremendous amount of forward progress, but that's okay. I still have some more days in this month to devote towards this. Here is where I am. And you can see that I am partially through the butterfly, but again, since I had to take it all out and start it out in a better position, I'm not as far along as I would like to be. I did do the back stitching on the first part of the phrase that I'm using on this, and what it is a line from actually a cross-stitch book of Mary Engelbreit designs. It was a phrase that was used on one of the samplers inside, so I liked it, decided it would work well on this. And at some point I'll pull that book out and show it. But that is my first Whip Go pull. My next Whip Go pull, and Huckleberry Farms. I'm stitching this beautiful fabric is 40 count, and it's called Jamie's Kilt. I believe this is from Bestitch Me, and I'm sorry that I didn't check that out. I did mention it in my last Flosstube, so the records exist. I just didn't get it taken down. My next Whip Go is for Summer Quaker. That's my next pull. And this is Summer Quaker from Leela's Studio. And this is so fun. Last time I had just a few things here, the crabs, just the things on the inside of this and the side pieces. What I've been able to do is fill in the rest of this whole section of the border, and I'm working my way into some other parts of the border. Using Picture This Plus Fog 18 count Aida actually, and it's really nice to stitch on. And when I'm doing Quakers, I really like to use Aida because you're much less likely to miss that single thread that you sometimes do. And I could stitch on this one in the evenings, and I don't have to worry about some kind of a grievous error that's going to cause me to have to pull everything out, like the butterfly on Huckleberry Farms. So anyway, this is great. It's coming along. I love the colors. I will say that I've made one change of note, and that is there's a little sand dollar down here, and it's fairly light in color, and it was just disappearing on my fabric. It was kind of ghosting and looking like a blob. But if you've ever seen sand dollars that are still alive, they're actually a kind of a lavender color, and they're really quite pretty. And I thought, well, what the heck? There's only a couple of sand dollars in this design. I'll just stitch them in lavender. That'll take care of the problem of them not showing up on my fabric. So that is what I did. And here we are. This is where I've gotten to, and you can see now I've finished that whole band. Down towards the bottom, there's the little sand dollar done in that kind of a pale lavender with a little grayish ribbing in there. I did change the color of the flowers from red to yellow. I don't know, it just felt kind of summery and I thought I wanted a little more yellow. Also made one of the fish, one of the small fish there, yellow. Again, just distributing a tiny bit more color around the border because a lot of those things were done in the same color blue as the Quaker motifs, and I felt like it was just a lot. So I wanted to punch up some of the other colors. So I pulled some greens, a little more yellow. The red will still be there, it just won't be in the flowers. So I thought the yellow flowers felt summery to me. So that's where I am on Summer Quaker by Leela Studio. And again, the picture of this plus, wow, it's really blowing out badly. Anyway, there we go. The fog has just a tiny bit of modeling in the palest gray, but it's really a great neutral background for something like this that has a lot of color in it anyway. So that is Summer Quaker. That is also part of the Live in the Sunshine Sal, which is being hosted by Erica of Fibers and Floss Canada and Samantha, the Huga Stitcher. And they have a Sal for Summer Quaker. They also have a Sal for the Autumn Quaker, which is Autumn is as Joyful. So I'm involved in both of those, but Summer Quaker was my pull for this month. All right, let's see. My next whip. Okay, my next whip is another Sal. I'm a little Sal heavy this year, but it's okay. They're great stitches. This is Put a Bird on It by Modern Folk Embroidery. Jacob DeGraff is the designer. Whoops, a little glary here too. There we go. Now, this was charted as a one color monochromatic stitch, but the cover art has a digital rendering of multiple colors. So a lot of the people who are stitching it with multiple colors. There was a great floss pack that Evertote and Roxy Floss Co. put up that was terrific and sort of matched these colors on the digital rendering. So a number of people are doing that. But I've seen some great stitches of people just doing it monochromatic. I think it's, oh gosh, Andrew, the runner stitcher, is doing this on a really pretty green in a bold, almost like a sunshine yellow, and it just looks fantastic. So lots of fun options. Now what I've chosen to do, as I so often do, is I've pulled my own colors. I'm doing it in multiple colors, but I decided I wanted something that was really kind of bold in terms of color. And what I'm doing it on is the fabric is from number 12 Stitch Co. Salted Caramel is the color. And again, as I said with Quakers, I like to do them on Aida because it's easier. You can see here that my colors are right out there, pretty bold, a little chaotic even. And you know, you have those moments when you're choosing your own colors that you say to yourself, oh my gosh, have I made a bad choice? How am I going to not like this when it's done? And right now I think I'm just going to trust the process. Here we go. I'll pull back and get a little more. But really, these are all jewel tones that I'm using, and so I think ultimately they're going to be fine. It's looking a little chaotic now, but I'm hoping for good things as I go further on. That's the problem. When you choose to change the colors or just kind of go out on your own and pick colors, sometimes you get partway through and you have those moments where you think, oh my gosh, what have I done? But usually once it all gets on there and completed, it usually turns out pretty well. I have one or two stitches where I go, oh, I wish I'd chosen a different color. But for the most part, I'm pretty happy with the way they end up when I choose my own colors. So, you know, it's just the way I roll. Now, my last whip is also a Sal. Oh my gosh, Sal's aplenty. This one is One Stitch at a Time from La Di Da. My glare is getting worse. There we go. This is a chart from La Di Da. The Sal is with the Across the Pond Stitch and Chat group from Facebook. It's being hosted by Sarah of Sew Me Sarah, and it's wonderful. I really like this stitch. Sarah's divided it into little sections, and it's really nice bite-sized chunks. So there are a lot of people who have already finished because they were enjoying it so much they just went ahead and finished it out. But I'm kind of trundling along. Now, when you last saw this, it looked a little bit different because in this section here, down by the tree, the chart calls for another bird. Here, put these two together so you can kind of see. You can see that on, good grief, struggling a bit. There we go. Sorry, folks. Okay, here we go. You can see that there is another bird and different kind of flowers next to the house on this side. But then on the other side, there are 3 of these symbols like this. There are 3 of those. And so it just kind of throws the balance off a little. And I saw someone else who had noted that same thing and had moved things around a little to the way they liked it. And I thought, well, that's a good idea. So I'm going to just do that. So what I did is I took out the 2 flowers, which are here, that I had stitched. I frogged those out, put one of the little symbols down there, and eliminated the other bird. I didn't need a 3rd bird on this side. So what I'm going to do is that bird's going to move over to the next tree on the other side of the house. And then there'll be another one of these symbols. So it'll be a little bit, not perfect symmetry, but enough that it'll feel right to my eyes. So this one I am stitching on 40 count Greek statue, and this is a fabric I got from Kitten Stitcher, Teresa Vanette, and this may be one that her sons, who dye some really nice linen, this one might be one. I don't know whether it's Graham or Harrison or both of them that are dyeing these days, but this is a terrific color, very versatile. I could see, I know with the part of this that's left over, it's going to be great for another sampler, so I'm excited about that. So that is the stitching for today. However, if you have stayed with me so far, I have a giveaway that I'm going to do. It's kind of springy. I'm celebrating that I had a little bounce in my subscribers, and that was very exciting. So what I'm going to do is, this is a chart that was a 3-part stitch along, and it's called Things Unseen from Lizzie Kate. And what you do is you had to have all 3 charts to get the full thing. So here's part 1. Whoops, sorry. Chart 1, chart 2, and the 3rd chart, which shows the design, which is a really fun design. It's got that great Lizzie Kate look. It's easy to stitch these, lots of fun colors. She plays around with scale, and her lettering is always a lot of fun to do. I just have so very many charts, and my joke is, being a stitcher of a certain age, I have to be realistic. Am I going to stitch this? And as much as I love this, and I love the phrase, I will undoubtedly use the phrase in another piece, but I just have so many samplers and so many big samplers that I'm doing. This one's not particularly large, but I just thought to myself, I really need to get this one out so that somebody who's going to stitch it, it's a great piece for spring, will have it to enjoy it. So if you are interested in this, please subscribe to my channel, and in your comment, use the word unseen, UNSEEN. So that's nice and easy. If you're interested in these, and I will send you the 3-chart set. You must be 18 or older, and be sure that you use the word unseen in your comment. You don't have to use it. You don't have to make up a sentence. It's not a Just use the word. It's okay. I promise. You don't have to be creative. Sometimes I get hung up on what kind of phrase am I going to put that word in? And it's just, yeah, no. Just use the word unseen and that'll be fine. I will draw for this on my next floss tube. So that is one thing. And kind of the last little bit of business I want to talk about is I noticed on Instagram this week that there was a post from the Primitive Needle. Now, the Primitive Needle is a designer that passed away, and so her charts were very much sought after. Her name's Lisa. I can't think of her last name right now. I'm very sorry. But so many terrific charts, and just some of these going for some just cuckoo pants prices in the secondary market, but it's because it was the only way to get them. And just some really fun charts. And for the longest time, they were unavailable. But her daughter, whose name I believe is Mariah, is in the process of, and has someone helping her to digitize some of her mom's charts. And, I think it's going to probably be a process that takes a little time for her to do. But she's working to have those out and on a website so that they can be available again. And it's terrific because there are a lot of people who have unicorns in that designer's collection. So I think it's going to make a lot of stitchers very, very happy. And I'm thankful that Mariah has decided to do this. I think it's wonderful, and it's very generous of her to share her mother's designs. I personally am looking forward to seeing the collections. A few of the postings on Instagram showed some pictures of her mom's models, and I'm really excited about it. So that's something I'm looking forward to. So if you are a Primitive Needle fan, hop on Instagram. I don't think that her website has gone up yet. I just know it's something that there'll be a lot of stitchers watching for because her designs are very popular. And anyway, I think that's everything for me today. Not a super long one, but that's okay. My plans for the rest of the month are to continue working on my 2 Whip-Go pulls and on my red sampler. My goal on the red sampler is to have it done this year. And being as how I'm now getting into the meat and potatoes of the squirrel and the flower pot, I think it will go maybe a little quicker than the alphabets. The alphabets are tough and small. This will be fine. I think it'll be great. Anyway, I am looking forward to the weather here in Pennsylvania continuing to warm up and get nicer so we can get out in the garden a little bit. And I hope that you all have tons and tons of stitchy time and can enjoy our craft to the fullest till I see you next. Anyway, thank you. Bye-bye.